Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for this video. This is a celebrity-inspired look, and my subject, or the celebrity it's inspired by, is Leona Lewis. And I found this picture of her in my Sophisticate's hairstyle guide. I'm not exactly sure what it's from. She has some sort of like net over her face, but if you look at her eye makeup, it's just really sultry and smoky, and just the epitome of sort of the smoky eye, but kind of an undone look as well. Her entire skin is, her whole face is glowing. And so in this tutorial, I'll take you step by step on the eyes. I'm going to be using a Sigma palette, which offers a lot of that dewy shimmer we're looking for. And then I'll talk at the end about some of the face products I use to get this look. And it's really the look that I always feel like when I see her in magazines or on TV, I feel like she has that look of like she just got out of a sauna or something. Everything is just glowing. It's a really pretty look, and I hope you'll stick around to see how I did on this eye. I put on my Too Faced Shadow Insurance Eye Primer. And then I went ahead and kind of forgot I was doing a tutorial, and I went and started doing things on both eyes, but fortunately I caught myself soon enough. I used the e.l.f. Duo Shadow Cream in Butter Pecan, and I used this sort of goldeny brown shade, and I just patted that all over my lid and really kind of patted it again once I put it on there, just to really sheer it out and make sure there wasn't a ton of product on there for creasing. And then I took the peachy shade and I went all the way up here to my brow, and this just kind of gives us kind of a dewy base to begin with for this look. And I'm going to be using as shadow, I'm using my Sigma palette, and these are the neutral shades that come in the little to-go palette thing, and these are very, very shimmery and could potentially have a lot of fallout, so that's why it's nice to have that extra sort of sticky base down there for them to really cling to. So the first thing we're going to do shadow-wise is really get a deep shade all over our lid and sort of around our eyes. So we're going to use the shadow in Brown Eyed Girl. That's this one right here. You can see it's very deep, shimmery. It's kind of like a dark, taupey gray shade. So that's going to be perfect for this look. I'm going to take my e.l.f. eyeshadow brush, any flat brush that you like will do, and just kind of load that up and go all over your lid with that shade. And just kind of pat it on, because like I said, this is a very, there's a lot of color to these shadows and a lot of shimmer. And we've already got a lot of shimmer kind of on our face with this look, so we don't necessarily want to add a lot more. So just kind of go all over. And now we're going to start to be a little less precise with this. I'm going to put some on my brush and kind of flip it over. And just kind of get the crease. And sort of work it out like we're kind of drawing on a little bit of an outer V here, because the shadow does in the picture really come out from her eye. So we want to definitely duplicate that. So go around, and then this is a purpose I don't know if I've ever really used this brush for, because I tend to be a lot more precise with the shadow under my eye, but this is a little more, that messy, sultry look. So kind of dip your brush downward into your shadow like that, get a little bit on there, and then just use a slightly bigger brush like this, not a precise liner brush. Start taking that shade right under your eye, and take it under, pretty much all the way in. Just like so, sorry. And you can kind of lighten it up as you get to the inner part, but we just really want to have that dark shade, not in a fine line, but just kind of all the way around. Next, take any fluffier brush. I'm going to use my Sephora Rounded Crease brush and just go over the border of that shade. It'll buff out for you really nicely, but just soften that up a little bit. Now this look has been a little different because we are kind of starting with the darker shades and then moving in with our lighter shades. I'm going to take a shade that's not in that palette because I want something just basically black. I'm using this Makeup Forever Diamond Shadow. It's a sparkly black shade. The shade wore off the palette there, so I'm not sure what it is, but I'm using my Smashbox number 33 brush. It's a smudge brush, so a little smaller, well, a lot smaller than the e.l.f. brush we were just using, and I want to take that black shadow and just kind of run it under because it's even deeper on the bottom with the black. So get some on a smallish brush like this that's still, once again, not a precise liner brush, and just kind of take that all the way under. Then we also want to work that same shade into the crease. I'm using my Essence of Beauty fine crease brush and just going into like the outer corner area and working that in, so we've really just got this dark area right in the outer edge of this look. Now we're going to start playing with some of the lighter shades in this look, and I think what makes this different is the fact that there is a lot going on in terms of like intense shimmer and like shimmery taupe right on the inner part, an area that I really don't touch that much with my eye makeup, but it's like right in here. If you look at the picture, I can pull it up for you, you can see that there's definitely some shimmer pulling all the way in to this, not quite inner corner down here, but inner part right here. So I'm going to take a flat brush. I'm using my Sonia Kashuk medium shadow brush, and we're going to be going between two different shades to get that perfect kind of really shimmery taupe. And I'm going to be using this one right here, which is Indian Girl. And this one above is Brown Sugar. So kind of mixing the two, one is a little more on the silvery side and one is a little more brown. I think we'll have the perfect shade here. So first, get that silvery shade. That one is Indian Girl. Get some of that on a flat brush like this and just kind of pat that in right in this general area right here. It's really going to add some sparkle. Then I'm kind of overlapping with some of the brown to get this really ultra shimmery look there. And then if you want, there's a very light shade called Angie, and it's sort of a light kind of pearly pink. And you can take any kind of fluffier brush with that. You can use the Sephora Rounded Crease brush, get a little bit on there, and kind of take that right up here under the brow. And there's a couple of finishing touches here as well, a couple of other places. If you look at the difference now between this eye and this eye, you can see a little more light that we've placed on the lid, because we want that look of like, you know, it's just, the lid is just glowing right here in the center area. So I'm taking Angie, that lightest shade in the Sigma palette, and I'm just kind of dotting it on with this tiny brush that I have from Coastal Scents. I'm just dotting that shade on, and I also want to dot a little bit right in here. And that's really gonna, I think, set off this look a little bit more. And one more thing before we finish with the liner. This look, while it is definitely not your typical shadow look, I mean, it's not precise or anything like that, but we do want to kind of create a border from our skin to our shadow. She definitely, you know, there is an end to this kind of smoky look. So take any powder. I'm using my Maybelline Dream Matte powder and just a concealer brush that I use for dry product. And just take that powder around the outside here. Don't go on top of your shadow, but just go right under it. And that's going to kind of create a definite border to an end to all the shimmer in the eye area like that. And Leona has her waterline lined in what appears to be black, so just go ahead and do that. I'm using my Almay pencil liner in black. It's pretty creamy. It definitely gives you the black appearance there on your waterline. Kind of take it in just a little bit. Then we're going to curl our lashes. I'm going to use my Rimmel the Max Volume Flash Mascara in the awesome pink tube on my upper and lower lashes, and then I'll join you with the finished look. Alright guys, here is the finished look. As you can see, it's a lot different from a lot of the looks I've done, because not only are the eyes very shimmery and undefined, the whole face makeup has an element of shimmer to it. It's kind of like just that really hot, sexy kind of, it's kind of a summery look is what it feels like to me, but I think it's fun to do these kind of looks in the winter as well, because, you know, it's just not that nice outside, and you can just kind of bring that feeling back to your skin. And so, yeah, I just put the the mascara on the upper and lower lashes because she clearly has some, I mean, maybe even more thickness on the lower lashes than the upper eyelashes, but what really makes this whole look come together is a lot of shimmer with the face. So I just wanted to go over briefly what I did do with my face makeup. I first went all over my skin with this bronze booster. This is something I reviewed, wasn't really nuts about, but it does provide, if you are going for this ultra shimmery look, it provides a lot of shimmer, and there is like some self-tanner in it. It's the self-tanning bronzing veil by Physicians Formula. So I put that all over my skin, and then I touched up sort of areas around my eyes, nose, chin with the Revlon Photo Ready makeup in Natural Beige. And this is not your typical like completely matte foundation. There is a little bit of like a, I don't want to say shimmer, but it's not just an entirely matte foundation. There's just a little bit of glow to it that it gives you. So went all over with that, and then I kept going with the cream products because cream products are what's really going to give you the best shimmer here. So I used the e.l.f. All Over Color Stick in Toasted, and you can see that's kind of a goldeny tone there, and I went kind of on my cheeks with that and just all over any areas that I wanted that extra glow. And if I wanted to really lighten certain areas and highlight them, like my chin, bridge of my nose, and right here, this area, you can see in the picture, those are the areas where she's really light. I used the Wet n Wild Mega Glo in Sunkissed, which is even, you can see how reflective that is. It's even lighter than the Toasted. So put that all over, and then I kind of topped off several areas with my MAC MSF in Soft and Gentle. It's hard trying to remember like the whole sequence because this really was a lot of products on my face, but I used that here. Here you can kind of see the areas, and right like on the Cupid's bow area. So really kind of solidified those places that were just creamy. I kind of wanted to have the powder on top for staying power purposes. So I used that. Then what I used on my lips is the Bonne Bell Lip Lights in Spun Sugar. And then I kind of dabbed it off because it really, really was light. But I do think this sort of mimics the shade she has, which is a very super, super light shimmery pink. And other than that, guys, that's pretty much the way I achieved this look. Definitely a little undone, a little messier, but I like it a lot, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial as well, and have a great day.